Hey, welcome to Pop Culture Maniacs' podcast. This week, your host is me, Kieran Fremantle, and joining me is Jean Hennigan, for our TV editor. This week, we'll be talking about Doctor Who. So, Jean, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm surviving. Yes. Well, during lockdown, you have to keep yourself busy somehow. So we'll be talking about the modern iteration of Doctor Who, since I think that's the one that I think most people will be familiar with as it currently is, and it is quite a hot topic because of its current state. So, because you've mentioned a few podcasts before that your dad was a big fan of the show.
Yes, he was a huge fan of Doctor Who as a kid growing up.
Yeah, because I say we grew up in what were basically the wilderness years, because it was cancelled. I think we were too young for the classic series, and yet we didn't get any new content until the Doctor Who movie, and then with the 2005 revival.
Yeah, we grew up in the no man's land of Doctor Who, really, unless we wanted to watch reruns of the old shows if we could find them. But yeah, I mean, as soon as the 2005 modern version came out, I know I didn't start watching until Series 4. That was my first installment of Doctor Who, but my family was all in from the beginning. My dad made sure all my siblings were watching and my mom was watching because he was so excited to have it back.
Yeah, so it is like one of those sort of cultural touchstones from Britain. It sort of stands alongside like James Bond and Harry Potter, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about like British contributions to pop culture, it's definitely one of the top ones on the list. And here in the States, I think the popularity's dipped a bit since its huge peaks around really David Tennant's tenure was really huge here in the States, but it's still incredibly popular here.
Yeah. I think yes, that is fan base worldwide, and it still maintains that sort of being a British pop culture institute. Obviously, obviously the 2005 version was really my first proper experience with the show, and I enjoyed it at first. I think the first episode I think was really special was Dalek, the one, well, as the title suggests, one Dalek. And obviously, I would say probably David Tennant's been my favourite Doctor so far from the modern iteration. I think as well as such a lot of the actors from it have done really well since its revival, because David Tennant's pretty well known. Matt Smith's got obviously done like things like The Crown, and he's set to be in the next the Game of Thrones prequel. Peter Capaldi was already pretty well known, and the companions probably even been more successful, because we've talked about Karen Gillan before. She's become really successful. Billie Piper's got a respectable career, and Jenna Coleman does a lot of TV work. So it's certainly not, because I think in the classic era it was seen maybe as a bit of a death sentence for your career because you get typecast, but certainly not the case anymore. It's actually a great way to get yourself well known.
Yeah, and I think the respect that modern Doctor Who has from the industry at large is definitely increased compared to the original series, where if you're playing a character in Doctor Who, you're really just showing everybody the range you have to be an actor, and I think that helps a ton when they're trying to get work post their tenure.
Yeah, and obviously because it was considered a big risk back in 2005, because I think with the BBC, a lot of their focus groups thought it, saying that it wouldn't work, and they were actually it was really a big. It was just through Russell T Davies's force of personality that he got it, was able to get it made. And they did, like the first series, they did have some struggles with the filming, like with the first, like with all the various filming blocks. But of course, it came, as we said, it was a big hit at first, and I think it became an even bigger hit when David Tennant took over.
Yeah, and I mean, it's managed to become a hit with, you know, adults as well as children, which is the really interesting thing here in America, is that I think even more adults watch it than kids do here, which is a testament to its popularity.
Yeah, and I think we'd say that is sometimes the controversy around Doctor Who, because it's sometimes seen as too scary or too dark for children. But there's always had that sort of bit of darkness of some form, and generally I quite enjoy the darkness. It's also one of those shows where it can be very campy as well. It's so varied.
Yeah, the tone is different every week, which kind of makes it unique among shows, in that you don't really know what you're going to get, or if it's going to be really serious emotional beats, or if it's going to be just a silly, ridiculous alien that, you know, chases them around. It's fun.
Yeah, so that's because outside of recording, but we've talked about that. You weren't a particular fan of the Stephen Moffat era of the show.
No, that was when I pretty much stopped watching.
Yeah. Because I think with I've seen like in some like a discussion some other people have had, like someone writing, it's a bit like being Doctor Who's showrunner. It is a bit like being the England manager of the England football team. It's a poison chalice. You're never going to please everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's a position I would not envy anyone in, because there's really no way to get it right.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those things. It's gone on for so long. Everyone has their own ideas of what Doctor Who should be. It's sort of, I would say it's similar to, like, say, how people might view Star Trek or James Bond. They have their idea of what they want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm doing the reviews for Star Trek, and every time I check, you know, social media after episodes, just to kind of gauge how the fans are feeling, it's a war zone.
Yeah, because as I say, like me being a big Bond fan, I personally quite like the sort of serious tone of the current series. But a lot of people, there is obviously a vocal part of the fandom who say, no, we want it back. We want big proper Bond, like Sean Connery, Robert Moore era. So yeah, you're never going to please everyone.
Exactly, and I think, you know, kind of the best thing you can do, in my opinion, as a showrunner of Doctor Who, is, you know, understand that you are taking care of a cultural institution, so you can't go too far one way or the other with it, but still try to put your own stamp on it. You know, don't, because, you know, you're basically going to get a new doctor. That's a given. So you get your new doctor, and you need to figure out what you want to do, and you need to do it within the bounds that have already been put down over, you know, decades of work. So
yeah,
don't go too far one way or the other with it.
Because admittedly, I'm very much on the hate Chris Chibnall train, because I mean, back in sort of like the modern era's heyday, it was pretty much blockbuster TV under Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, and I really haven't liked Chris Chibnall's run of the show, because I found it very dull. Characters like pretty much one-dimensional. There have been loads of criticism about Doctor Who being too political, and I think it's not so much Doctor Who's too political, it's how they bring in these political messages, because they're as subtle as a brick, really.
It's a thing that I mean, I haven't really watched the Chris Chibnall years, but I'm, you know, a bit familiar with his past work. And, you know, when they announced he was the showrunner, I was very nervous about it, because, you know, I watched all of Broadchurch, and the first season of Broadchurch is exceptional. The next two seasons of Broadchurch are not that great. And it troubled me that he was okay with creating a single story, but continuing a story over several series seemed to be a difficulty for him. And
Yeah, I
with
think
Doctor
that,
Who, it's standalone episodes for the most part, but you do have a thread that has to run through the seasons.
yes, exactly. I do. He does have a decent record outside of Doctor Who. So, as a first season of Broadchurch, he did like a two-part TV drama about the Great Train Robbery, and he did the TV film United, which was like about Man United after the Munich crash. So he's good on that front, but his episodes for Doctor Who are like lackluster to say the least, because he did like, what's it, like 42. I think the best two was the one in series 5, the Selene, the ones with basically the lizard people, the Power of Three, the one with the cube. So yeah, he's not got, and monsters with dinosaurs on a spaceship, which should be fun, but yeah, was disappointing. I would also add with Chris Chibnall as well, because I think he's better as sort of like if he was more like a George Lucas type. He because All Free Fair with his run, he does come up with some really out there concepts, but it's the execution that he really struggles with. He sort of breaks the screenwriting rule of show don't tell, because it's all explanation and talking, not actually fun sci-fi stuff, investigations, figuring things out or anything like that. So if he came up with like yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that sounds like my absolute nightmare of writing.
I know it's a breaking the basic rule of screenwriting. I think if he obviously during his run, he's had some weird out there concepts like a conscious universe, parallel universe, things which sort of like draws people in, stuck in their knowing their intimate thoughts. It's like what other ones is there, like things like this would have been a much more interesting story, like two godlike beings sort of made their two planets their playthings, so they ended up going to war with each other just for giggles. But it's just wasted potential. I would say the best episodes under the Chris Chibnall era have been the ones where he's had little involvement in the writing. So like things like Demons of the Punjab, that's it, the Nicholas Tesla one and the Mary Shelley one, and because oddly it's the historical ones that seem to be the better episodes during his run.
Yeah, that's interesting. That his standalone episodes were his strongest. I mean, back in the Russell T Davies days when they had a lot of the standalone episodes that he didn't write, I particularly enjoyed, but I still loved his arcs.
Yeah, and it's sort of like trying to figure it out, because obviously you always had like those references. Like first series it was Bad Wolf, second series it was all the references to Torchwood, the third series was Vote Saxon, and the fourth one would be in Darkness.
Yeah, and it all worked. It all worked together, and it all tied back well. And I mean, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, and you're working with an audience that has a number of children in it, so you have to take that into account. So it's not an easy job, as you said, but you expect a level of competency, particularly when you have somebody as strong as our current doctor is. She's such a good actor, and if you can't utilize her, especially when you already worked with her, come on.
Because apparently it was Olivia Colman he originally wanted her to do the role, but she just said no, and hence he went to Jodie Whittaker instead. And obviously I think we will get to the discussion about who we think should be the 14th Doctor. Yeah, someone like Olivia Colman, after winning an Oscar, she's not going to be doing Doctor Who.
No.
Yeah, but yeah. I think like my personal favourite series was actually season 5, the first one of Chris Stephen Moffat's. because he had his long running arc about the silence of all the cracks across the universe, which and anything that got sucked up into it, they were pretty much erased. No one remembered it or anything.
I did. I enjoyed that as well. But I mean, my favorite is definitely the whole Donna mystery, the Dr. Donna mystery.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my first series, so.
Yeah. I would say, because immediately when they said that Catherine Tate was going to be the companion, I was dreading it because she was at the time most famous for doing a sketch show, and I really didn't like it. But fair play, she was actually a very good companion, and I did. Fourth season was very good, lots of good episodes. I think one of my favourite episodes from that series was Turn Left, the one which essentially influenced Years and Years, the one where Donna never met the Doctor, and then basically everything went wrong because the Doctor died.
Oh yeah, that's far and away. Well, I think my favorite episode of all time is the Silence in the Library two-parter with River when they introduced her.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I got really annoyed with Stephen Moffat's years, is that I felt he leaned far too hard on River and far too hard on those Weeping Angels to make points.
Yeah, I think the Weeping he probably did create some of the best monsters in the modern era, though, like Weeping Angels and the Silence, because they're probably some of the most memorable monsters since the revival.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're incredible monsters, and I was super impressed with them. I just felt like they just kept showing up all the time.
Yeah. I think, end of season 6, he started going off the deep end because that was when they had the really confusing season finale. Season 7 was when, because that was the one where it was split into 2, where they had brought in Jenna Coleman. I think I was much more interested in her characters as either Oswin when she was trapped in the Dalek, or the Victorian Oswald. Because the modern day one wasn't actually very interesting, and I put that down to the writing because Jenna Coleman is proven to be a pretty good actress.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a main actor, either a doctor or a companion, who I thought, oh, this guy or this gal can't hack it. They're not good enough. I've never had that experience watching Doctor Who, which says a lot about the quality of actors they cast. It's usually the writing that lets them on in the end.
Yeah. I think for me, I sort of see Doctor Who as a bit similar to Star Trek, and said it can be absolutely amazing, or it could be really bad. It's sort of very little middle ground.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Obviously, with I think we've already touched upon it, but with the show, one of its great qualities is it's able to reboot itself like every few years. It's it can change things up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lucky piece of it, is that, if you don't like a season, you don't like a companion, you don't like a story, you can probably come back the next year and try it again, because something's going to be different. There'll be a different companion, there'll be a different story. And in this modern era, it's, if you make it through 3 series that you don't like, you can usually come back and it'll be rebooted with a whole new Doctor.
Yeah. Pardon me. I was because one article I wrote was because again I don't really like Chris Chibnall very much, his run. Who would you like? Is there anyone you'd like to see as showrunner next?
I don't know enough about British showrunners, and I've been looking through your article, and I certainly think you made a very strong list. But for me, it's more of kind of amorphous. I would like somebody who has sci-fi experience, who has a background in working with special effects, CGI, that sort of thing, who understands what that's capable of and what it's not capable of.
Yeah.
And I would also like somebody who has kind of varied experience in terms of episodic versus, long form television.
Yeah.
Just to kind of be able to mix up a series arc with, individual fun episodes.
Yeah. I would say, obviously, I think the fans' choice would be someone like Toby Whithouse. He's written for Doctor Who already, and he's done. I think in Being Human, which is a cult TV show.
It's a really good show.
Yeah, and the show ran North and Crosses, so plenty of experience. I think my preferred choice would be Sam Vincent and Jonathan Brackley, who both show ran Humans for Channel 4 and ABC.
I loved Humans so much.
Yes, and they've worked in the BBC because they did work on Spooks as well. Or I think it was called MI5 in America.
Yes, I do remember that show. It was very good as well.
Yeah, but they would be my top choice. I think they can do the political allegories better. Good, as I said, good experience. Likelihood of them doing it, it's up to them really. But I think obviously when Doctor Who first started, as in the reboot, the TV landscape's changed because it's a lot harder to get the talent, because obviously Netflix, Amazon and all that, they can offer big lucrative deals. TV has become a lot more international, so Netflix, HBO, whatever, they make shows within the UK, partner up with whoever. And I was going to say, because I know like someone like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she would be a popular choice to do Doctor Who. I don't think that's ever going to happen though.
Yeah, you're never getting Phoebe Waller-Bridge to Doctor Who at this point in her career. But yeah, I mean, TV has exploded in such a way that literally every actor, writer, director wants to work on it because it's the big medium, and movies are so dominated with one type of film.
Yeah.
So I think there's a chance you could lure somebody with significant experience to do a brief run at Doctor Who for sure. But it would only be a brief run, I think.
Yeah, because I know like someone like, again, another popular choice would be someone like Neil Gaiman, because he's a fan and he did write a few guest episodes. But as you say, I think anyone like that, so
and Neil Gaiman's dealing with his mess of American Gods too. So
yeah. And I was going to say, like, someone like, because again, we'll talk about our discussion of 14th Doctor, but I know like Tilda Swinton seen as a candidate for Doctor. And yeah, again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the most you'll get is maybe she'll do one season, maybe as like a recurring villain.
Which would still be incredible. I would watch that completely.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, all the showrunners have always have put their little local stamp on it. Russell T Davies as well, so he did have quite a few Welsh episodes. Obviously, Stephen Moffat Scottish, so obviously he had quite a few Scottish references, and Chris Chibnall's from Sheffield, so he's run his Earth normal life stuff set in that city.
That's actually an interesting quirk I didn't realize.
Yeah. And hence, if I ever got the show run it, I probably would try and do something in the West Country, or certainly would love to do something in Bath.
Which is a lovely place, and they should definitely do some stuff there.
Yeah, so it's where, obviously, if you're a Bridgerton fan, that's where Bridgerton's filmed.
And everybody is a Bridgerton fan now, apparently.
Yeah,
so.
Yes, exactly. So, yes, come to visit Bath. Yeah, I'm not being paid by the tourism board, but they should pay me.
And having been to that region, it's wonderful, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and I think obviously because as well with Doctor Who, because a lot of it's filmed in Wales, so it has been a big boost for TV production over there, and hence why his Dark Materials got one of the reasons why that got to be filmed in Wales as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of Americans whose only experience with Wales is Doctor Who, and so they want to go to Wales to see where Doctor Who is filmed. So
yeah, I mean, I
increase the profile.
Yeah, I think when I think of Wales, I think of the Blackadder bit. It goes, "Have you ever been to Wales, Baldrick?" No, but I often thought I would. And I go, "No, don't. It's a ghastly place. Tough, sinewy men roam the valleys, terrorising citizens with no close harmony singing. Don't. You need half a pint of phlegm in your throat just to pronounce the place names. Don't ask for directions. You'll be washing spittle out of your hair for a fortnight."
It's pretty accurate, though.
Yeah. So yes, there goes our any Welsh listeners we've had. But yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, well, that's the glory of. I think that's the glory of Britain. We all hate each other, yet we somehow function as a country.
Hey, you should listen to some of the comments about the different American states. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go back quickly, like, because obviously one of the issues with current Doctor Who is it is considered too political. I think some, for a start though, Doctor Who's always been political in some way or shape or form. Daleks were essentially the Nazis, and Cybermen were communists. There's always been like in the 70s, because taxes were very high, so they did have a villain that was something called like the Taxman or something. He was modelled after the Chancellor, who's basically the finance minister in the UK. And in the 80s, they had one villain that was pretty much Margaret Thatcher. I think it's all about A, implementation, and B, sort of people how they've interpreted it. Because like talk radio in the UK, they had their host was complaining like, because Doctor made a joke like, "Oh, if the Doctor was a man, I've had an upgrade." I think that was just like a tongue-in-cheek line, just to try and dismiss what this character said. And he blew it out to be, women are better than men. And he goes, "Oh, shut up." But other things, I do think there's much more justified. I think one of the worst examples of this political thing was in the episode, or was it not a Princess? Orphan 55, because that essentially, that episode was set on a resort being made on basically on an toxic planet. Turns out that what happened was this planet was Earth, and then you think of the Simpsons. Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along. Yeah, that's my bad singing. Yeah, and it turns out, so it was Earth, and what happened was Earth had a nuclear war because of global warming, running out of resources, pretty much nuked so the planet, and the few survivors have mutated into monsters. And then it ends with like pretty much like a Captain Planet episode, like Doctor Who's saying like, "This is just one possible future. You can change it." And you're thinking, I'm thinking, yeah, we get the message. You don't need to state it out there. And I think it could have been done so much better, because if you really wanted to go for that climate change altering humans, surely the easier fix would have been say that instead of Earth going to war, simply the Earth became too toxic, the rich left, everyone else remained, and they either died or mutated to survive.
Yeah, that definitely would have covered it more.
Yeah. So yeah, and obviously they've had quite a few jabs. The modern Doctor, they've had a few jabs against Donald Trump, and I, like many people, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, but it's just the way they've done it. Like one episode was Arachnids in the UK, where they had pretty much big evil hotel mogul being secretly dumping toxic waste. He was just pretty much Donald Trump, and he ended up weirdly agreeing with him, because the Doctor was willing to let a preacher suffocate to death whilst he just shot it, just so thinking that would have been a bit a quicker death.
That's not particularly a good ending, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was one of the worst episodes of the Chibnall era.
Yeah, I can absolutely see why.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers our discussion of modern era Doctor Who. So to our listeners, stay tuned. We'll be doing a second part where we talk about who we want to play the 14th Doctor. So cheers, bye.